Hey Pokemon Masters, Birdkeeper Toby here, and welcome back to another Pokemon Theory. A Pokemon Theory that I've actually covered on the channel before. Was Pikachu ever a Pichu? A theory that has been sort of confirmed now by the Pokemon animated series. This year, of course, in Japan and airing soon on Netflix, I think in the US only? Maybe? I don't know. This video would be very good to have a VPN sponsor for. Sadly, I do not. Anyway, in the newest series of Pokemon titled Pokemon Journeys, in the first episode ever, we get an episode all about Pikachu before it became Pikachu, back when it was a Pichu, in what appears to be Viridian Forest. And this is something, people have wondered for a while. Ash's Pikachu doesn't evolve. It's not going to evolve into a Raichu. And side theory that one of my viewers, Mythical Wyvern, mentioned is that might be because the Pikachu is a Gigantamax Pikachu all along, and Gigantamax Pokemon can't evolve past the stage that they Gigantamax in. And again, in these Pokemon Journeys, we see Ash's Pikachu Gigantamax. So that's a side theory, and I guess it makes sense. But we've always wondered, was Ash's Pikachu, and actually also Detective Pikachu, were they ever Pichus? Like, are we going to get a prequel Detective Pichu? Was Ash's Pikachu ever a Pichu? What was Pikachu's life like before Ash, and where did it come from? And I had my thoughts, primarily that baby Pokemon in general don't tend to live in the wild, which is true. In the main series games, you don't tend to see baby Pichu or baby Pokemon of any kind just rawly in the wild. In fact, you start seeing a lot more of them in the Sun and Moon era, where on the first island you can actually find baby Pichu, as well as Munchlax and Bonsly and Happiny. But generally speaking, the Pokemon that enter the baby category tend to only be found in very specific, usually human-curated locations. Like, say, the Flossy Ranch in Black and White 2, where you can find baby Riolu. So what does this mean for Ash's Pikachu? Well, in the animated series, in the original seasons of Pokemon, we actually see a kind of herd of Pikachu, a group of them in Viridian Forest. And we actually see baby-sized Pikachu out there. Is this where Pikachu has come from? He doesn't seem to recognize any of them as his family. In the Pokemon Adventures manga, Red catches his Pikachu in Viridian City. In Pokemon Origins, Red catches his Pikachu after completing the rest of the Pokedex. In Let's Go Pikachu or Pokemon Yellow, Pikachu is caught just outside of Pallet Town. So we know, somewhere between Viridian Forest and Pallet Town is maybe the home of Pikachu. And in this episode of Pokemon Journeys, we see baby Pichu in the forest. Now, I said earlier that this might be Viridian Forest, but that's never actually confirmed. And in fact, when we look at the Pokemon that we see here in this forest, everything from Coughing to Kangaskhan, and we learn about the kind of what the episode is about, where you've got Pichu's story and young Ash's story, we learn that young Ash is at Professor Oak's camp. They're going on a little bit of a trip, and yeah, that might be all the way to Viridian City, although we don't see any of them going to Viridian City, they're just kind of in the forest. Or they just might be in one of those anime areas that's around Pallet Town. Perhaps it's a forest that's part of Professor Oak's very large lab complex, which we kind of see in Pokemon Chronicles quite a lot. We see that there is a lot of land where lots of Pokemon live. And it would explain all of these Pokemon that are usually found elsewhere in the Kanto region here around Pallet Town. This is an opportunity for the kids to study Pokemon, and this is where Pichu is. Except, where most of the Pokemon in this space are, they're all in herds and families, the big issue that Pichu is dealing with is that it's alone. Almost as if Pichu isn't from here, its family aren't around. It's a Pichu, but where's it come from? The Viridian Forest? Why has it made its way all the way down here? And again, in the original series, granted it was because Pichu didn't exist back then, although they did show off Ho-Oh in an earlier episode, we see baby Pikachu, so if there was any plans for Pichu, wouldn't we see them, or just no baby Pikachu at all? Maybe. But I've always had a different theory, and this idea was kind of first floated by the guys over at, Channel Federator and the Leaderboard, who made a theory about how Ash's Pikachu was possibly from Sinnoh, and this is an idea I've kind of thought about a little bit. I wasn't massively convinced by the theory myself, although one bit of evidence that they said is that Ash's Pikachu has a Pokeball that has a seal on it. The only place that we find seals is in the Sinnoh region, and this is an Electra seal. So that does hold up, and actually out of all of the areas in the video games, the only places you can find wild Pichu are two places. As I said earlier, in Sun and Moon in Alola, although I can't think of any reason that it would be from Alola, or you can find wild Pichu in the Trophy Garden in Sinnoh, a place to investigate and look at rare Pokemon. You can even find wild Porygon and Eevee there, which in any other regions are complete rarities. In fact, Porygon, this is the first time you can find wild Porygon is in the Trophy Garden. So it's definitely a place that if you were visiting the region, you'd want to take a look at. Especially if you're a Pokemon professor like Professor Oak, who used to study, you guessed it, in the Sinnoh region. Not only does he have a house in Eternicity, he is a pupil of Professor Rowan's. That's confirmed within the world of Pokemon. It's just sort of confirmed within the Diamond and Pearl games as well. Professor Oak studied under Professor Rowan. He frequently travels between the two to help set up the Power Park in the Diamond and Pearl games. And the idea that Professor Oak caught a Pikachu from the Trophy Garden with a Pokeball that has an electric seal on it, and set the Pichu to kind of live in the wild of his big complex totally flies with me. I love that Pokemon theory. It makes a lot of sense, and so the forest is just part of Professor Oak's kind of lab. It's just part of his big, many Pokemon environments that he has, where he's keeping Pokemon from all over the region and all over other regions. And ultimately, when Ash shows up at the Pokemon lab and Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander have already been taken, which, by the way, this is probably the place where Professor Oak breeds those Pokemon, he's like, alright, I've got this one other Pokemon. It's just evolved from being a baby, so it's kind of probably just about ready to give to you, Ash. And gives him the baby Pichu. So how does the old theory, was Ash's Pikachu ever a Pichu, hold up? Pretty well. I mean, the theory was open-ended. I kind of concluded that it could have either been a Pikachu or it was definitely possible that it was a Pichu. But yeah, tying in the idea that it could have been a Pichu along with Channel Frederator's video about Ash's Pikachu coming from Sinnoh, I totally see it and buy it. As for Detective Pikachu, could it have been a Pichu? Well, yeah, I mean, I guess it could have been, but we won't know till that prequel movie's announced. Anyway, this is just a kind of quick look back at an old Pokemon theory of mine. There's actually other details in that Pokemon theory, specifically talking about just the science of like human evolution and how we're born kind of not equipped to fight and deal with the world, and that's very similar to baby Pokemon, whereas most animals are kind of born ready to run and hunt and fight within days, if not hours. And that's kind of like what's going on with baby Pokemon and why baby Pokemon don't always hatch out of the eggs. Like, you can breed two Snorlaxes and they'll just make a Snorlax, but if they're holding an incense, they'll make a Munchlax, and that's because of human intervention looking for those cute traits. So I will leave that video linked below, although I guess now that you've heard me say that, there's no real reason for you to go and watch it. Anyway, did this Pokemon theory hold up? Heck yeah, it did. Ash's Pikachu confirmed. Used to be a Pichu, but does it come from Sinnoh? I guess that's the next theory, and I would say yes, I like that, and I like how all the dominoes line up for that one. Anyway, thank you for watching this Pokemon theory. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You are amazing. Thank you for supporting the channel with your comments and just generally watching. Thank you, and of course, so hi Pokemon Masters.
This is Ashs Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon Master!
Thank you so much to those of you supporting the channel using Patreon, including the big patron of this month, Gunnar Clovis. Thank you.